All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for a couple of real people out there, just like you and just like me. All right, so Roger Daltrey has some depressing things that he's going to talk about in this article, and I'm going to cover it because I'm covering the end of the classic rock era. As I do that, though, I'm promoting uh, music from the next generation, right? So here's Hydra. I promoted this a couple of years ago. Had a lot of patrons, by the way, who really thanked me for suggesting this. If you like the band Toto, by the way, if you're familiar with Toto, you might remember they had an album called Hydra. So that's a hint what this might sound like. This is their album Point Break. I'm going to show off the inside because if you look at that picture, that appears to be a real rock band, ladies and gentlemen. I know there are radio personalities here in the United States that say, all of this music over on these melodic rock record labels like Frontiers, it's not really a band. They don't tour, they don't perform. They might tour and they might perform if somebody here in the United States started playing their music and people heard it. And then they were like, okay, are you guys ever going to go on tour? Because we'd love to see you guys. Now, Toto is still out there, right? They're touring with Journey currently. But this is kind of like the next generation of that stuff. And nobody's going to hear this music because nobody here in the United States is going to promote it. Okay, so I talk about this a lot, and quite frankly, nobody cares. That's why the algorithm sees me and it goes, yeah, we're going to go this way. We're going to go to some guy who does really clever videos and does great production and so forth. And this, no. So anyway, trying to stay in my lane too during this video, talking about music. But Roger Daltrey is rather depressing. He's stepping down as the curator of the annual Teenage Cancer Trust charity after doing it for 24 years. He says, I'm on my way out. Okay, that's encouraging. Of course, he just turned 80 years old. And he says here, the average life expectancy is 83. Now, I'm thinking 83 over in the UK. I actually looked it up. And he's right. But 83, that would be for a woman. It's actually 80.61 for a man. So again, hopefully he hasn't been to Walgreens or CVS. He looks really great for his age. He's 80 years old, and he probably doesn't look a day over 68. You know what I'm saying? So he looks good. But he says, I have to be realistic. And he talks about the life expectancy. He says, with a little bit of luck, I might make that. But we need someone else to drive things, meaning we need someone else to take over running the Teenage Cancer Trust charity. Daltrey isn't stepping away from the charity completely, but will be working behind the scenes. For his final year, The Who headlined too. I'm thinking the final year of him working with the charity. The Who headlined two of this year's shows at London's Royal Albert Hall, and Daltrey headlined a third show with a series of guest performers to celebrate his tenure as the curator. The rocker revealed that before taking the stage for those shows, he was actually worried about how many words he needed to remember for them. He's talking about remembering lyrics here. He says, we haven't done anything for 7 months, and this winter's been brutal. I've been in hibernation. For the whole of January, I lost my voice completely. I live like a monk, and if I went on tour for a week, I'd be fit as a butcher's dog again. But tonight, for the first time in my career, I think, blimey, this is hard. I love the Brits. I love the way they talk. While Daltrey seems ready to hang it up, his bandmate Pete Townsend has indicated he wants money. Or no, I'm sorry, he wants another tour. In a recent interview with the New York Times, he shared, It feels to me like there's one thing The Who can do, and that's a final tour where we play every territory in the world and then crawl off to die. Yeah. Okay. So the end of classic rock, we're living through it. We have each other. We'll cope, but really, there's nothing else coming down the road that's going to replace that. There is music out there you can go find and listen to help you cope. And I shared the Hydra album with you. This doesn't sound like The Who, but what really sounds like The Who? They were just an original band, and their music very impactful. And I don't think it's easy to copy what The Who did. Very original, great lead singer, great lead guitarist, great drummer, and great bass player. So four superb, I'm talking about the original guys, four superb musicians, and soon gonna go bye-bye. And what's sad too is that classic rock in general has gotten rid of so much of this music. You don't hear it on the radio anymore. I mean, what a catalog The Who has, and you hear like half dozen songs at the most. I mean, I love Eminence Front, but man, there's way more to The Who than just that. All right, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for putting up with me. Thanks for supporting the channel. For subscribing, which is very important still. Subscriber count has been holding in the 76K area for quite some time, but at some point it might go over to 77K and it'll sit there for a while. I'm grateful I'm still getting subscribers, honestly. Also, if you want to help the channel out, there is other there are other things you can do: YouTube memberships and Patreon, and buy me a coffee, which is always a great way to say hello and basically leave your barista a tip. So that's it from here. Another musician says that he's basically going away soon, and he doesn't want to do anything else. Thankfully, Eric Clapton has announced some tour dates here in the United States, which is pretty exciting. But for old-time classic rockers, things are getting a little thin. They're getting a little slim pickings out there. So hang in there, folks. Music, it's important. And we have to lean on one another to get through these times as we watch classic rock fade slowly into the sunset.